How do you manage your time frames? You're very brown, indecently brown, if I may say so.
I've been to Israel.
I know you have.
That's why.
I'm only jealous.
How do I manage time?
Yeah.
If I see someone for the first time, I have an hour, and follow-ups are 45 minutes, and that's plenty of time. I like your point, Les, that 10 minutes can be a long time, but it depends on the consciousness of the person who's given that 10 minutes. But yes, if that 10-minute space is one in which there's potential and neutrality and real listening and dialogue, then 10 minutes is absolutely enough time. The 45 minutes I spend is if you like, a review of how the person's been since I last saw them, which in my case is usually 4 or 5 weeks, something like that. And then I'll take the pulse, look at the tongue, and then on that basis probably decide which points I'm going to use, because I'm a Chinese doctor, acupuncturist and Chinese herbalist, and then put the points in, then do some energy healing while the points are in, and then at the end probably give some kind of advice around diet, maybe herbs, maybe homework in the form of pranayama or meditation, something like that. So that's the sort of way I allocate the time.
Okay. Do they find it enough, do you think?
Yes.
Oh, good. Thank you, Paul.
Thank you, Paula. I think so, yeah.
Because there's a vast discrepancy, isn't there, between 45 minutes and 10 minutes?
But only if you see it as everything has to be sorted, done and dusted in that first appointment. And I know we've lost some of the continuity of care with the new appointment sort of systems. But actually, I think if you sort of see it as a journey with someone, it unfolds. And actually, I think it's really good that people have some intervals. So you might get a little bit, a little idea of the slice of the cake, the first bit, and then it opens up a little bit. You never get the whole view of the cake, but each time you get a little bit more, and that can be helpful. And I think it's really important that people have time and space to go away, and whatever's happened may sort of unlock something else, and then you come back. So. I don't know why we have this idea that everything will get sorted out. I think maybe it's this pressure of appointments, or people feel that they want to get sorted, because I think there is a pressure now and an expectation of wanting to get sorted quickly. And I think that's changed in my working sort of lifetime. I didn't feel that pressure so much in the early days, but people now want everything done and dusted so sort of quickly. Whereas actually time, they say time heals. I think time is a great healer, and actually just, for me, it was just about if I could hold someone's hand through that journey, maybe it would all resolve anyway, and we wouldn't have to do very much apart from walk along together, really. So the problem is the system can sometimes not be helpful with that, because you can then be perceived as a low referrer or a low prescriber compared to others, and are you missing things and all these sorts of things. So but you can't work independently of the system that you're in, and that can be challenging at the end of the day.
So is it as much about the state of the being of the therapist as it is about the patient?
Yeah, I think so. I think, I have to say, Les, that all of the language that you use is very much the language of the kind of, complementary practitioner rather than conventional doctor speak.
Well, I'm not rubbishing traditional medicine. It's been very useful. That was my training, and it has its place. But I think the role of a doctor is to advise at the end of the day, and it's up to the person whether they want to take that advice or not. And it's not for me to force that on anyone, but I think in my experience I prescribed less and I referred less, and that's partly because we all gain an experience and you recognise patterns, and I think a lot of it is trying to calm people's expectations, and I think if you can calm someone, then their expectation is less, and actually you get more to the nub of what the issue is.
You do hang out with loads of people like us though, don't you?
For my sins, yes. Yeah.
You lucky man.
You always hang out with...
No, I haven't. No, I don't know how long I've known you, Judy, but I haven't. But I think I've always been interested in communication, and for me, why I've survived in medicine is not about what the latest technical innovations are. It's, for me, what I've really enjoyed is why is it that someone comes in with a sore throat, half dead on the floor, and someone else will manage severe tonsillitis at home. So I've always been interested in people and what brings people in at that moment in time. So I'm curious, I guess. And I think it's my curiosity over time as to what has helped people sort of brought me along.
I'm trying to think how long we've known each other.
A long time.
It is a long time. You were referred through someone else, weren't you?
Yes. I first met Judy when I was invited to someone's house for dinner, and she said, we've got this other person coming along called Judy, you can have a session with her first. And I thought, okay, whatever, as long as I get the meal, at the end. And little did I know what I was walking into. I tell you, that was an experience. I think the dinner, they haven't set me up there. I think the dinner got delayed about an hour and a half. So there are other people there as well. But yes, and I think that definitely did open my mind, my consciousness, or whatever, to actually there's more going on here about things, and I think it made me sort of look at things in a very different way and actually seeing the whole. And I think it's so easy to sort of look at problems and issues just to hold it down, as to, for instance, someone coming in with a painful leg, and to deal with that. But actually, that might be the way that whoever, whatever, has slowed them down in life for a purpose. And just trying to stand back a little bit more with a bit of detachment and see the whole picture as opposed to just the problem.
Which is a nice sort of description of that principle, that you don't treat the condition, you treat the person. And if we always kind of hold on to that dictum, then the likelihood is that there'll be better results, because whatever symptomology might be manifesting in a person can have several different causes and roots. And if you look at the whole person and allow the person to speak, to kind of describe it in their own way, in their own time, then the likelihood is that they'll pretty much tell you what's going on anyway, and give you a kind of, the way sort of into the whole situation that they're in.
So is it helpful if you, when you meet people, that you meet them as equals?
Absolutely.
But both parties must know that. and they don't always if
Well,
they're
exactly.
unwell.
So it's not that you say good morning. I just like to say that we're both human beings and we're both equal, but you just kind of carry that energy in how you disport yourself and how you talk to them, and make it very clear that it's not about the
label they wear.
Exactly, that their label is patient, yours as a doctor. It's about a dialogue between two people who have a common interest.
But both must step up to the same frequency to be able to have an exchange as equals.
Exactly. And so I think this is this is the I think the point Les made once or twice about the importance of communication. And the importance of communication is you have to connect with the person. So there's no point in displaying whatever kind of knowledge you might have about a particular condition or the biochemistry of a condition, or you need to talk to the person. Basically, it means heart to heart, but certainly establish trust, bridge. And if you do that, then you're off to the races in terms of what can happen. And if you don't do that, then I don't think a lot can happen. It's really important from my perspective, that kind of...
I'd absolutely agree with that.
Yeah.
I think if you don't get connection for whatever reason, I think it can be dangerous actually, because the doctor may respond with that malconnection by sending you off or doing things, or feel a sense that they've got to sort of do things really.
So there doesn't need to be any competition anywhere. There only needs to be complement.
Absolutely.
Are you disappointed about that?
No.
Did you want to dust up?
No, but you know that, and you know that, but loads of people out there don't know that. That's my point.
No, indeed. But, really all I can say on this subject is that I'm always, part of what I do is always looking for opposite numbers in conventional medicine, Western medicine, who, if they don't exactly speak my language, then they completely get it. In other words, people like Les. And I found them few and far between. And so over the years I've always got one or two who I can, refer patients to who, recognise the value of energy medicine and acupuncture and so on. And that's very much to the advantage of the patient, or the client, or the stakeholder, whatever you're called these days. If you get that kind of level of collaboration between different healthcare specialists, because they respect each other, because they communicate, then the whole system falls very beautifully into place. Until that happens, you get this kind of professional territorialism and factionalism, which is not good for anybody. It creates isolation.
So the more we get people of different disciplines together, the better.
Very much so in my book.
Which is why we started doing these talks.
Yeah. I don't think it's entirely the professionals that are at odds. I think patients can set us at odds with each other. And I suppose when I sort of intimated sort of something at the beginning, I think there's something about how people embrace their health or not really. And I guess you can be a victim of a health issue, but it's whether you take on that victim identity or not. And I think that's very, very difficult. And then I think for someone who can only see themselves as having a health issue, I think that's quite hard sort of to manage. And I think that there is then the possibility of, well, this is no good and that's no good, and it's all sort of rubbish, and I need to go and sort of see someone else, and they sort of hunt around on the health journey looking for different things, and that can be frustrating for everyone, really. But I think it is the person's got to want to sort of to collaborate with what's going on, whether they like it or not. I guess it's an acceptance, really.
And the next one of these that we're going to do, which won't be done, it'll be done entirely with Ash and filmed, is spiritual maturity. Because spiritually people go through infancy, babyhood, infancy, etc., etc., but they don't realise it. They think they're mature and well-rounded and very valuable to the human race. But they're not always.
No, and I think I've never felt as a doctor that it's my role to make someone happy. I think it's the role to give people advice, and the message may be tough, and they may not like it, and they may tell you they may not like it, but actually that's what is necessary, or it's what that I felt that I needed sort of to do, really. And I think we get confused sometimes. I mean, a really, really nice doctor, but if it's a doctor that just gives you what you want, that's not a very helpful sort of model. But it may be a very nice doctor, and it's about how people perceive their issues. I was telling Judy, I spoke to a friend this morning who's got terrible rheumatoid, and her partner's been in a mental health ward for a year this month. So she had a really, really difficult time, and yet she's quite a positive spirit. And I said to her, how do you manage this rheumatoid? And she said, well, she's had it over 20 years and getting quite incapacitated. And she said, well, my hospital consultant, when he diagnosed it, said, think about it as an arranged marriage. You may not like it, but you need to love it because it's part of you, and it may grow better with you over sort of time, and you'll have ups and downs of normal sort of relationships, but it is part of you, and she's embraced it, and she has times when she's completely sort of immobile, and there are times when it's better, and she just gets on with life, really. And I think it's that embracing which is really important. And I don't like this language when people say, well, I'm going to fight this illness, or I'm going to fight this cancer. Well, actually, you need to go with the flow of it. It doesn't mean, you get yourself motivated and geared up and all the rest of it. Definitely positive sort of spirit, but it's about working with it as opposed to in battle with it, really.